What's up, y'all? Today I'm going to be giving 10 tips on how to build a commander deck. These are not necessarily tips on how to build it, but more ways you can build it on a budget but still getting the deck you want. I'm gonna try to keep this. I can't speak today. I'm gonna try to keep this video as short as possible, but while still getting all the information to y'all that I want to give to y'all. So real quick, number one is figure out what you want your commander to do and figure out what you want your deck to do. And so this is my favorite deck. I'm not gonna like pull or something out. I'm just gonna pull out the commander. It's the Mimeoplasm, and basically it says, as the Mimeoplasm enters the battlefield, you may exile 2 creatures from graveyards. If you do, it enters the battlefield as a copy of one of those cards with a number of additional 1/1 counters on it equal to the power of the other card. And so there's a lot of ways you can make the deck. A lot of people, when they make this deck, they'll make it with, they'll make a 1/1 counters deck. And some people will make it an ooze tribal deck. Regardless of what you're going to do, just that's something we know ahead of time, you know? It's kind of like, you know, a lot of people get nervous when they order food because they're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to order? But if you go into the restaurant knowing what you want to order, then it's like, you don't have that anxiety of like, oh my, like the guy's like, what do you want to order? And then you're like, oh crap, I've been, you know, thinking about everything except food and what I want to eat up until this point now that you're asking me. And now you're like, oh my gosh, and then you just order something random off the spot because you've put yourself under that pressure. And so that's what you want to do, you know, be prepared. And so the way I have my deck set up is it has a theme and it has a sub-theme. So the main theme is 1/1 counters, like I said earlier, and then the sub-theme is forcing my opponents to mill cards. So that way I'm guaranteed to have, not guaranteed, but I have ways of putting creature cards into my opponent's graveyards. And so yeah, so you know, if you want to do, you know, tribal, do tribal. If you want to do a theme of copying sorceries and instants, do that. Landfall decks, do anything you want. Just go in knowing what you want to do ahead of time. Number 2 is buy sleeves. I usually get sleeves. I just get them from Walmart or Target. They're not super duper expensive. Sorry, my lighting fell off for a little bit. I'm using my TV as lighting. But they do make a huge difference. And when you shuffle, when you have brand new sleeves, it's gonna feel super smooth. But I would buy them for your deck. Not only that, but they protect your cards. Some people double sleeve. I haven't gotten into that, and so I don't know what the benefits are from it. I don't know if there's any pros or cons or whatever, but I just recommend getting 1 pack of sleeves. You know, you want to make sure they come, whatever you're getting comes with, you know, at least 100 sleeves, because you need 100 sleeves for 100 cards. But a lot of the packs that you get, they'll actually come with extras, and you can usually use those extra sleeves for tokens. Or if you have a, tokens. I was going to say something else, but it ended up not making sense. So yeah, just buy sleeves, you know, protect your cards. And it always feels good just shuffling, like, you know, you're about to whip up on somebody in a game. You know, it's like, I don't know, it just feels good to have, you know, good sleeves because they're smooth. And they can, even if you don't have a playmat, they like slide across surface pretty easily if they're like brand new. Number 3 is make 2 lists of what you want your deck to be. So find your commander and then figure out what you want to do theme-wise. And then make a list of your dream team. And then what you want to do is you want to make 2 lists. And the list number 1 is going to be stuff that is affordable, you know, and everybody has a different budget, so you just do you on your own budget. Make what's affordable, and then make a second list of more expensive cards. So like, when I was building this deck, I made a list of all the stuff I wanted in the deck. And then I was like, well, there's these other cards that I really want, but they're very expensive. Or if I bought all of them at once, it'd be super expensive. And so, like, I've been building this deck since 2019 just because I'm on a very low budget. And I, like, just now got a Cyclonic Rift. And I ended up ordering it online, and it's great. And I'm just able to have it because I got like a good amount of, like, extra money that I wasn't expecting to get, and so that's why I was able to afford it. But before then, I was still doing good. But make that list, and then what you can do is you can buy list number 1, stuff that's affordable, buy all that stuff first, And then as you gradually get more money, or if there's like one card that's just stupid expensive, save up money for that one card and then buy it when you can. So don't, because some people, like, I have a friend of mine, and if he's watching this video, he knows exactly who he is. But he'll be like, bro, I built the deck. And I'm like, really? Like, physically, or you made the list? He's like, no, I made the list. This dude has built like 15 million different decks virtually, but he's never built them in person. Like, he just now did one, but like, he'd be like, oh, I built a deck. I'm like, oh, it's awesome. And then he's like, oh, but actually I didn't. And I'm like, why not? He's like, because it's expensive. I'm like, well, you don't have to buy the whole thing at once. Anyway, that's going to keep you from spending a ton of money at one time. Number 4 is buy singles. So once you make your list, don't buy a bunch of random booster packs, because like, yeah, you might get some stuff you're looking for, but you're very unlikely to get exactly what you're looking for. Not only that, but every single deck you build is probably not going to include the latest sets of Magic. So like, if you have something that's from a few years ago, well, if it's from a few years ago, there's a good chance it's not in stores anymore. But at the same time, don't buy online at first, and I'm going to get into that in the next thing. But buying singles is a great way to save you money and to keep you, because if, like, let's say you have your whole deck, your dream team, like everything, like even your entire list is made, except for this one card that you just cannot seem to pull from booster packs, or none of your friends have it. Before you, I'm going to explain this in the next step, or the next tip. But before you go online and purchase this card, do tip number 5. And tip number 5 is go to Game Exchange. Now, I know not everybody lives near one, but if you do, go there. If they don't sell Magic cards, then 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 obviously this isn't going to work. But a lot of them have, and the 2 game exchanges that I go to have been awesome. Like, when I'm looking for a specific card, especially if it's a rare, 9 times out of 10 they have it. And sometimes I'll just be looking through their inventory just for kicks, and I'll find something that is like, just makes a big difference in my deck, or one of my decks. And but I'm like, if I never came here, I would have never found this. But not only that, but since you're like, let's say I'm looking for the Mimeoplasm and I want to order online, I go to Game Exchange and I find it. Well, I just bought it in person, so now I don't have to pay shipping. And I know shipping isn't like crazy stupid expensive, but money's money, especially with gas prices and how expensive they are. So go to Game Exchange. Not only that, but a lot of game exchanges have a deal now. I did not mean to just upload the crap out of my desk, but a lot of game exchanges have a deal now to where if they have boxes of commons and uncommons, if you buy 10 of one of those types of cards, 10 uncommons or 10 commons, you can usually get like a bundle deal. So you can get like 10 commons for like $1.50 or 10 uncommons for $2.50. Not all of them, I don't know if all of them do that, but I know some of them do, and it saves a ton of money. Plus, even if you're looking for like 2 uncommon cards and you buy them and you're like, well, I really don't need to buy these other ones, well, it might end up being cheaper to get 8 more and then just get those extra cards, and maybe you can like sell those cards, or maybe there's a friend of yours that could use those cards, or maybe you build another deck down the line, you're like, oh, this card I didn't need at first, now all of a sudden looks like it's really handy. So go to Game Exchange. I'm not going to get into if selling your cards there. It's not part of the video because this is deck building. So number 6 is don't buy an expensive deck box. Now, if you just have like a ton of money, or there's just like a deck box out there you just really want and you're super into Magic, then save up money, or buy it, do whatever. But what I have found is that you can find a lot of like regular everyday objects and use them as deck boxes, and they work perfectly. And so my first 2 decks that I built, I put them in these. And these, at first I didn't know what they were, but it turns out they're designed to hold index cards, and they're plastic, they're super light, and this holds this holds 100 cards, my commander's in here, and 2 tokens, and then all that right there is just nothing but dice, and it's like perfect. It's like exactly what you need. And so I have 2 decks that are in those, and then a lot of deck boxes look like this. these little rectangular prisms. And so like I have my one Yu-Gi-Oh deck in here, and then this one I have another Commander deck. Now the Commander deck barely fits in this one, and so like these are not great for Commander decks. And the reason there's a Commander deck in this one is because the sleeves are in here. They're like those clear ones, like they're completely clear, and so they're like super skinny. And so this deck is basically like barely fitting in here. But hey, if it works, it works. Plus, I have like room for like 2 or 3 more Yu-Gi-Oh decks in this one, so those are some you can use. And then I have this big box right here, and this is meant to hold like matte pencils or something. But I have 200 Commander decks. I mean, whoa, 200 card Commander decks with tokens, and then I have a third deck in here that's not sleeved, and I just don't have another container at the moment. So that's the only reason that third deck is in here. But yeah, these are just simple, and I didn't have to buy any of these. These are just laying around the house. But if there's a deck box out there that you want, or you just have to have it, then, you know, go crazy, go stupid, whatever. Just, I want you to save money. And so I don't recommend blowing off a ton of money on just to look good, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, your opponent's be like, oh, like, let's play Magic. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that deck box, you know. Like, it looks cool, but at the same time, you know, like, I don't know, when I see my opponent, I'm like, oh, you're lame because your deck box is lame. You know, I don't judge based on deck box. I guess I don't say it's a big deal to buy an expensive one. But like I said, if you want to, go crazy. Number 7 is use filler cards, and here's what I mean. If like Cyclonic Rift is a very popular border wipe in blue, and however, if you can't afford a Cyclonic Rift at the time, maybe find something else that works. I don't know if River's Rebuke is cheaper or not, but you can do this with any card. Like if you have, let's say, you're making a deck, an Izzet deck, so you're making a red and blue deck, and the theme of the deck is copying instants and sorcery spells. Then what you can do is once you make your deck list and you're like, well, I can't find it. I've gone to Game Exchange, I've gone on Facebook Marketplace, I can't find any of these singles I'm looking for. Well, if you're at Game Exchange and you see a card that maybe doesn't do the exact same thing, or maybe it does do the exact same thing, but it costs a lot more mana to cast, go ahead and buy it. And then you can use it in the deck, so that way your deck can still do what you want your deck to do. And then down the road, get that card you're looking for, and then you can pull that card out. You know, kind of like if you ever play basketball and you sub in people, it's kind of like that, except you're subbing permanently once you upgrade your deck. So yeah, use filler cards. That's helped me a ton. 8 is be patient. You know, like I told you about my friend of mine who's always like, oh, I can't buy it all at once. You don't have to buy it all at once. You know, like I just now got this deck to where I want it, like Dream Team wise, and it's like I'm making this video in like late May of 2022, and I started building this deck in 2019. So just be patient, you know. Plus, if you have a bigger budget and you invest more into Magic than I have, then you will probably be able to, you know, get your ball rolling faster, you know. And I hope you do for your sake. But just be patient, you know. Not only that, but don't make like a million decks at once. Make like 1 or 2 decks and focus on that, you know. Number 9 is make sure you have enough kill spells, counter spells, and board wipes in your deck. A lot of people, like, once you get into Commander, you'll realize that, like, you're friends with everybody there, and then once you start to mess with somebody, they're like, oh, suddenly we're not friends anymore. You get a lot of friendships can get ruined. You know, I've been called a lot of names that I would not be using in front of my parents by other people just because I've played like a counterspell or a kill spell or board wipe, and that's pretty common. But when I was getting into Magic, I watched a video on what you should do when you're building your Commander deck by Jimmy and Josh Lee Kwai. And so one of the things they said to do is, and they give you like a certain amount or like an average amount for like border wipes, kill spells, counter spells, and also like lands and other stuff. But I've been told I have too many of mine, and maybe I do, but at the same time, I just followed that video, and so when people tell me that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to take advice from the video I watch for professionals are giving me advice, not you, no offense. But yeah, I tell them that a lot more politely, not that rudely. And then number 10 is to test your decks. Now, testing your deck, what I mean by that is that before my friends of mine got into Magic, I was like basically playing by myself, and then I would go to a tournament occasionally. And so what I mean by that is I would take this deck right here, just my Mimian Plasm, and this is my second one I built, and I would just play them against each other. And the only downside is that you know your opponent's hand, unless you just have like an absolute crap memory. And you're like, well, that's not really testing your deck if you know your opponent's hand. And sort of no, but it does help a lot, and regardless, it helps you learn the deck you're playing with. So there's been a million times where I'll do something and then I'll review the card. I'm like, oh, well, actually it says this, and I hadn't noticed that before. It's helped a lot, and there's probably some like apps or websites where you can test your deck online, like you upload your deck. I do this with a website called Mana Box sometimes, but I like doing it in person better, and plus I'm still learning how to use Mana Box, but there's probably like a website I don't know about that does a phenomenal job about doing this. And so yeah, that's number 10, is test your decks. That's all I got. Hopefully I will make more Magic content in the future. And like I said, these are not on, except for like number 9, these are really not how to build your deck, but how to financially like build your dream team deck. So yeah, God bless.